Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Present with John Ball. It is Friday, the 5th of February, and today I'm inviting you to come and join me behind the scenes. I'm going to show you my setup that I do for video, and I pretty much have this for my podcasting, for all my daily content work like this as well. So I'm going to bring you behind the scenes. I'm going to take you onto my iPad camera in a moment and show you how it's all set up. Some of you have maybe seen the pictures already on my social media profiles of the new stand-up desk that I set up. It's actually working out really well for being able to do the presentation work and stuff. So I'm going to bring you into my office. So hang on and join me again in a moment after the titles. So welcome to the Daily Present. We are once again coming live to you on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so my name is John Ball. And if you haven't followed me before, most of what I talk about is to do with presentation skills, public speaking, tools of influence and persuasion. I have a whole podcast about it that's called Speaking of Influence. And there's an episode of that coming out later today. And a new podcast launching very shortly. Some of the episodes have been coming out alive already, called Points of Change, which is pretty much about coaching, those moments of life transformation where people have been able to realize that something needed to change and how they've gone about transforming their lives. And many of the people who are now helping other people to make those kinds of life transformations as well. That's Points of Change, a new show, and it'll be launching officially as a podcast very, very soon. So as we get started, if you are on YouTube, please make sure that you like and subscribe. So look for Present Influence on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and click that bell icon even to get notified for any videos coming out, the podcast episodes that get uploaded, when we're going live, all that kind of stuff. You will get all the latest from me. Okay, let's see if we can take you over to my other cam setup. So hopefully it's going to be on here in a moment. And this could be where I run into some technical issues, right? So let's get my eCam set up here. Here's what I need. Okay, so I'm going to bring you onto my iPad. So here's the iPad, and this is what you are any moment now. Oh, no, thank you, Siri. Any moment now, you're going to be seeing me through that. Okay, so a slight change of perspective. You can now see me through the iPad screen, and I put it the wrong way around to that I wanted. So let me change it back so I can flick sides without making you dizzy and have you the right way up. There we go. Still could do with being a bit smoother at all of this, right? So you can see behind me already that there is a green screen. And so, you know, like where you're seeing me on, I can actually probably put the other part of the camera in the background there. So you can see me there on my main video camera as well, and you can see the image behind me. So if you don't have a green screen, I know a lot of people who use green screens or use at least the green screen technology. The thing is, if you don't actually have a proper green screen behind you, what you can end up with is a lot of weird blurring, or if you move, suddenly that things start to disappear in your background or look really weird. So it just becomes really, really obvious that you're using a green screen, which probably isn't really what you want. So let me show you around a bit more. It's a bit of a tight turn here. So you can see this light here. This is a square box light with some sides on it. I filtered it down a bit because otherwise it's just a bit too bright, even on the lowest settings. That is purely lighting the green screen. So that is a separate light for the green screen. You can see, because of where I'm standing right now, you can see some of that light on my face. So I'm going to show you my mic setup as well. So it's just a Blue Yeti mic, nothing too complex or expensive, with a sound shield behind it. And there's my computer screen. I don't want to put you into an infinity loop there, but I will show you if I can. So all I use is a simple Logitech setup. It's a Logitech webcam. That's what I use for all of my audio stuff. And you can see there's a stand behind. The white stand is for holding an iPad, so I can hold notes or scripts there if I'm doing something a bit more planned out. And although it's a bit bright, you can't see the ring light there as well. So that's lighting me. That's lighting my face right here and now. So if you look into the smaller box, you'll see my face is being lit by that. And one of the most important parts, of course, my morning coffee, which is absolutely essential. None of this works without it. You'll also see I have an in-ear monitor, so you can see it here. So when I'm direct on the video camera, I've gone really blurred on the main video. There we go. So when I'm direct on the video camera, you don't really see that. But if I bring you into a side view, you can very much see that. So you'll also see that the ring light is positioned above eye level. That's primarily because I wear glasses and I don't want the reflection being too much in my glasses. You can see already just having a bit lower, that reflection starts appearing in your glasses. It's not the worst thing ever. And I know I even have anti-reflective coating in the glasses, which hopefully reduces some of that a little bit, but it doesn't eliminate it completely. So let's see if I can switch back from this setup now to my main screen. So let's come back into the main screen, and we don't need to see the additional me there. So that's pretty much it. It's a basic setup, and to be honest, I know a lot of people don't even get started with this stuff until they've got a full studio setup. But you don't need that. There's really nothing wrong with getting started when you're just on your phone. You know, that will do. That will get you going. If you have questions about my setup, feel free to type them into the chat box. If you just think it's interesting, you will see, you would have seen as well, I didn't really show you this, but there's a stand-up desk here as well. And it's a unit that actually will fold down, so I can sit down and work on for a bit, but I try not to do that too much. I just don't want to be sedentary the whole day. Also, because I do a lot of speaking and presenting work, I run workshops, I do group coaching, and even one-to-one coaching sessions, the energy is different when you stand up. So I tend to find that I can work and get my energy moving higher when I'm standing up. I can move around a bit, I can shake around a bit. And it's burning more calories. That has to be a good point to it as well. It feels much more active. So I tend to sit down when I'm doing writing work, when I'm creating content, when I'm doing my journaling, that kind of thing. But if I'm doing anything where I can easily be stood up working, I just find that that's working better. Like I'd say at first, this is like my second week with this stand-up setup. Start to really feel it in my legs at the end of the day, which I don't think is a bad thing. You just think, okay, it might be a bit uncomfortable at first, but it gets comfortable. But it's really nice to be able to shift between that. And because I have the sheet for the green screen rather than a set green screen, a collapsible green screen, which I do have, but I don't use it for this, it gives a bit more coverage. So I can move down and up and I've got full coverage. I don't have to keep readjusting the camera or resetting the amount that I actually have visible there as well. That's pretty much it for the setup. And it's not very complex, but the main thing is, you know, even if you just have a Android phone or an iPhone or an iPad, if you have the most basic setup and you're worried about just doing video and getting started, I would say just get started anyway. People will forgive you, especially in your earlier days of putting out products or content online. People will forgive it. And you know, there are even some people who are specializing in helping others to actually get really good at doing content, even editing it and putting it out through their phones, through their iPhones and Android devices. I recommend start doing it. But if you really want to do this kind of stuff on a regular basis, if you want to do a lot of online content, a lot of video stuff, it is worth thinking about investing a little bit in a good studio setup for yourself. You don't have to have a full sound and video studio. You may like that, but you may want to have something decent. Now, a lot of people prefer to have an actual background. I prefer the virtual background, and that's simply because I can change the background depending on what kind of content I'm doing. So I like that flexibility. And I know that from a branding perspective, a one fixed background could actually be quite a good thing. It's something I may come back to in the future. But, you know, for me, it's just one more thing to add on to everything else. And I like being able to have distinctive backgrounds that fit with different things that I'm doing, like different podcasts. For Speaking of Influence, I have a coffee shop backdrop. For Points of Change, I tend to use more of an office backdrop or this sort of home office backdrop. So it can be a really good tool to have. But again, if you're going to use virtual screens, virtual backgrounds, please do get a green screen or paint your wall green or do something to make sure that behind you is actually green, because it will make a huge difference in the quality of what you're recording. if you are doing stuff on a phone, don't worry about green screens at this stage. It's not going to work. But what you do have is the ability to go fully mobile, get yourself out and about. So doing little videos in different places, something that I don't really do, but maybe I should, is actually a really good thing, and people like it. So whilst you're out and about, where you're going to get your morning coffee, do a little 30-second video or something like that, it could be really effective and get you some great engagement. But if you're doing more set stuff, video, blogs, podcasts, that kind of thing, you may want to have a fixed setup where you can have at least the best studio arrangement you can have. I don't think my setup is anything close to perfect, but it's about as good as I can get it. And I will keep making improvements as I go along. If you're thinking of doing something similar, get whatever setup you can for now, and just improve it as you go along. That would be my recommendation to you. And that's it. If you have questions about the setup or about getting started with video content and doing the right kind of stuff for your audience and structuring it, putting it together, getting it out there, getting over the fear of doing it in the first place, let me know. Type a question in the comments. I'll do my very best to answer it and help you out. And I'll be back again later today. I'll be back with a recorded episode of the Speaking of Influence podcast with a really cool guy, Lee Chambers, really up and coming young speaker, very inspirational young guy. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. And next week on the Speaking of Influence podcast, I'm going to be speaking to comedian, funny speaker, but one of my favorite people, Dia Klein. So that's next week's episodes coming out, and you'll love Dia as well. And on the Points of Influence live on Monday, I am going to be having a really cool conversation about how to get unstuck when you're feeling stuck. So come and join me live on Monday. That's going to be 4 o'clock Central European time, 3 o'clock UK time. You missed the first bit, Caroline, but is your background virtual? Yeah, this background is virtual, completely virtual. I use a piece of software called Ecamm Live. You don't have to use that. There are other things as well. You can certainly do this in Zoom. I think you can even do it on Skype. But I have been recommending that you actually have a green screen if you're going to use virtual backgrounds. Otherwise, you tend to get some very dodgy images, and if you move, everything starts to look a bit weird, and maybe hands or something disappears that you don't really want to. So if you can get just a sheet or paint a wall green or put green card up behind you, anything that actually makes it green is going to vastly improve the quality of your virtual backgrounds as well. And I love using them. I think they're very useful and very helpful for Zoom things and stuff like that. So unless you really just want one set background, in which case you probably are better off having a fixed physical background. And as Shelley Golden, my image consultant friend who's been a guest on my show, would say, have a plant, at least 1 or 2 plants in your background, and have a nice clean background. Maybe a bit of art, but something that's not too fascinating, because you don't want to draw attention away from yourself. And make sure that you do have a camera set up that your camera is just slightly above eye level. So you have to look up a tiny bit, but only just. So like if I look directly, you'll see I'm looking, but you can see probably that I'm looking below the camera. But if I look up just a tiny bit and look directly into the camera, then it makes a huge difference. Also, I'm kind of making eye contact as well, and that's really important. I think I watched a video yesterday with a professional speaker, but I did notice the whole way through, like there were 2 people speaking. One was looking directly to camera, perfect. The other was looking at the screen, I think looking at the person she's speaking to, probably what you do on a Zoom call. And you sort of see, okay, well, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not making eye contact with the audience. So it was a bit of a loss of connection. So it's just that potential you really do have to make sure that you look into the camera on your virtual setup, on your camera, on your iPad. It's very easy not to. And the temptation is to look at yourself on the screen, which is what we're used to doing. And we're used to looking at other people as they're on screens with us, as well as they're on video calls with us. And so for creating content, you can't really do that. If you want to get great connection with your audience, you really have to look directly into the camera. So tomorrow morning, I am doing a live event, a free live event with no sales. I absolutely promise that. But I have been talking a lot this week about my program for presenting virtual influence. And so I'm doing a free 1-hour webinar or live event tomorrow morning. That's going to be 9:30 a.m. Central European time, 8:30 a.m. UK time. So if it means getting up a bit early for you to come and be on that, come and join us live if you can. It'll there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions, see how I teach some of the content that I teach, give you a bit deeper taster of some of the information that I have. Hopefully it's going to be useful for you whether you go ahead and learn more stuff from me or not. This 1 hour could be well worth your time in just getting better at being able to give presentations online. So please come and join me for that tomorrow, 6th of February, 9:30 a.m. Central European Time, 8:30 a.m. UK time. If you can't join us live, the replay will be available. If you want to post questions in advance, just connect with me on social media and post your connections there. If you are on Clubhouse and you want to connect with me there, come and find me at John A. Ball. And that's pretty much it for today. And I'll be back next week with more Daily Presents. So look out for those. Look out for the Speaking of Influence podcast coming out later today. If you're not already subscribed, please do. And give us a review. If you listen to the show and you like it, I get so much feedback personally from people who love the show. I really could do with some reviews on the show. And if you do a review, I will personally thank you on the show for doing that. So you'll get, your name will be mentioned. You'll get a name drop in one of my episodes if you leave me a review. So that's it for today. I will see you again tomorrow for the live event, and next week for more Daily Presents. See you next time.